What's up, everybody? Fortnite's Chapter 2 Remix season is finally here. So what's the best remix week 1 loadout for zero build, for solos, and I also have some great suggestions for duos, trios, and squads too. And don't forget to use my creator code camcrusha when you're buying the new season's battle pass. Let's get into it. Gotta be honest, I was a bit worried about having a Chapter 2 Season 1 loophole. It kinda sucked. Mobility was really bad, and there was no cover at all for zero build. Thankfully, we have much better mobility and cover items. Weapons are a bit lacking though, if I am being honest here. And one key thing, the weapons are now all hit scan, except for the snipers and RPGs. Basically, it means that bullets are essentially laser tag.
You just don't lead them so much!
They go where the dot is, as long as the reticle is closed. No bullet drop, no bullet travel time. But there is bloom, and it widens your reticle if you move around. That makes shots more random, they can be anywhere within that reticle space. Hopefully all that makes sense. But there also is first shot accuracy on some weapons, and that means what you think it does. Fun fact, you can reset first shot accuracy by crouching as you fire. The first weapon slot for our zero build loadout is for longer ranges, and that is where hit scan is going to matter the most, of course. A lot of people will run one of the snipers, which is a good idea. It is much better at the longest ranges, but it's harder to find too. I think if you are going to run one here, obviously go with the heavy so you can do higher damage to vehicles. Meowdus's Piao Piao rifle is really good, but it is a mythic, and if you can get it, run with it, but I tend to avoid putting mythics in best loadouts these days. It's much easier to get a scar, and you don't need it to win matches. I mean, it certainly helps, but it's not mandatory. Speaking of the classic AR/scar, the bloom is still a problem, but there really isn't much we can do about it. I will use it, but it's not going to be my first choice. I was expecting the burst AR to be the 3 burst, but we got some weird hybrid thing.
Man bear pig.
It has the fire rate of the Chapter 1 version and the 2 burst from the Flood season. But hey, it's remix, right? Still, I don't like that slow fire rate in zero build. So for my money, I am running the suppressed AR. I know the damage is a few less, but in larger team modes, no one wants them even if they are purple or gold. And the silent shots are a nice bonus. Health is hard to find, and if you can get some shots on someone without them knowing where it came from, that could be a good advantage. You know, make them burn their utility. The suppressed R is a bit hard to find though, so keep that in mind. On to the second weapon slot. We're going with the shotgun, but there's not very many options. 2 in fact. The classic pump and the classic tac. I think like always though, it comes down to your aim and how it's feeling that day. And how close you like to get in fights. The pump's damage drop-off is a lot more dramatic once the opponent is 10 to 15 meters away. So the tac can be more useful in those ranges, but the spread is much larger. I would take the pump shotgun this season because of the high close-up damage and the tighter spread, and because of something else too, which I'll get to in a moment. On to inventory slot 3, and while the clips here show me using a third weapon, I was in trios and squads, so I'm still recommending a 2-weapon base of AR and shotgun to start, especially in solos. Why? I think 3 utility slots are almost mandatory this season, depending on the group size. The map is huge despite all the vehicles, and cover and health are hard to find. That's 3 problems that need solutions. The first utility slot for solos should solve the mobility problem. I definitely think that vehicles should be our primary mobility item, but we need it in our inventory as well. And it sure as heck ain't gonna be impulses, unless you're trying to do impulse players off of high places memes. Gotta go grappler, of course, and it is nice that they have 20 charges now. Gotta address the health issue, so definitely going with health and shields. Like we said before, it's harder to find, so probably best to carry some. Epic bumped up the big pot spawn rates, but it's still lacking. I mean, when we're excited to see coconuts at a POI, we have a health issue. And look out for the shroomies too, don't forget about them. And the returning bandage bazooka is okay, but it only heals white health and takes up 2 slots. So here is the hierarchy, by the way, for heals and shields, depending on how quickly they heal and for how much. You got fish, minis, big pots, chuggies, medkits, bandage bazooka, and finally bandages. In the final slot for solos, I think it depends on early or late game. I highly recommend the new version of the boogie bombs for early and mid game. They get players out of vehicles, which is really helpful this season. Boogies are also why I use the pump shotgun. If I have one shot before they can shoot back, I want to do as much damage as possible. In my experience, the tac and auto shotguns do not do as well in combination with the boogie bombs. In endgame, run porta-forts if you can get them. One thing though, in solos you will be focused more because you are the high ground, so keep that in mind. And if you get forts early game, nothing wrong with keeping them. Alrighty, now in team modes, we have some more leeway, especially in trios and squads, but the 4 core slots are going to remain the same for zero build: suppressed AR, pump shotgun, grappler, and heals. The 5th slot is the variety spot, and I think each teammate should carry what they use the best. For duos, I think one person should carry porta-forts. You'll be less focused using them in team modes, and of course, cover. The other person should run boogies or stink bombs. I think using stinks in zero could be dangerous for teammates, but I think you can get away with it in duos. Preferably boogies though. In trios, run the porta-forts and the boogies, but one of you should run a sniper or RPG. I think that would be a nice deadly combo. T and Tina's boombo could be good here too. And in squads, you could run that boombo along with the other 3 things. You know, that's the beauty of larger game modes, 20 inventory slots versus 5. So there we go, peeps, my recommendation for zero build loadouts for the first week of Chapter 2 Remix. Suppressed AR, Pump Shotgun, Grappler, Helter Shields, and the final slot depending on your team size. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like. Next video coming right up.